Hey everybody, it's Uncle Clayton here. Today we're going to be planting a Flavor Queen Pluot. Pluots can be grown in zone 6 through 9. We are in zone 7A, about 30 minutes north of Philadelphia. And we'll be planting the Flavor Queen Pluot next to the Dapple Dandy, the Flavor Supreme, and the Flavor King, so we can get the best pollination we can. So one of the most important things you can do when planting any fruit tree is to make sure you don't plant it too deep. The Flavor Queen Pluot is a stone fruit, so it's susceptible to lots of different funguses. So the deeper we plant it, the more problems we're going to ultimately have. So ideally, we want to raise it up and plant it about as high as it is right now, which makes it more difficult. We're going to have to use extra dirt and use the grass clumps to kind of build a mound. So I'm going to get to work here planting this, and then I will show you about halfway done, and then I'll show you when I'm completely done, and hopefully we can all learn something today. So even though I am not going to plant the Flavor Queen Pluot low, I'm still going to dig down, chop the soil up, make sure there's no rocks or roots in the way, and loosen it up to make it easier for the roots to expand. We do not want to dig all that dirt out, sink this pluot all the way down in there, because then it's going to be way too low. We want to keep the root flare up above the soil as much as we can, which is going to put it up in this range. So once you get it kind of close to where you want it, don't be afraid to pack it really well, because it's going to want to settle in either direction. So look at it, see it's leaning to the right, so I'm going to get in here with my boot, and don't be afraid to pack it. The more we can pack this tight, the better this tree's gonna do when the wind's blowing and it's raining and the whole thing wants to move on you. And then we're gonna look from both directions, line it up, get it as straight as we possibly can. We're gonna come back later, put a fence around it, put some wire on it, so it's not really gonna go anywhere, but this is a really important step that I see people skip all the time. Don't be afraid to really heel it in with your boot. Okay, second to last step is we're gonna apply a hefty amount of mulch, but we are again not going to bury the root flare. It's very important that we get to the top of the plant. We find the top where the roots start, because sometimes when you order them online, this came from fastgrowingtrees.com, they will throw a bunch of dirt in there to package it, and you will plant the tree too high, which can lead to, like I said, lots of problems. So we're gonna find the root flare, and then we're gonna apply our mulch. Make sure we don't cover it up. And then I like to make a saucer so when I come back to water this, it doesn't run off. It directs the water right to the roots where we want it to go. And then last but not least, we will add our protective fencing. All right, so the last step is to protect the tree. There's a lot of different ways to do this. On the farm here, the whole property's not fenced in, so we have a serious deer problem, and we also have a rabbit problem. In the wintertime, the rabbits will eat the bottom of the tree, and once they eat all the way around, your tree's gonna die. And everybody knows what the deer will do, so the best thing to do is to protect it as much as possible. There's tons of different ways to do this. I like to use this 4-foot metal fencing from Home Depot with 4-foot metal stakes. It's expensive, but I have yet to lose a tree that I have protected this way. I also like to use this wire fencing because when the tree gets a little bit bigger, in about 2 more years, you can take the branches and train them down and wrap them underneath the metal fence so you can start to create the shape. So this is the last stake I'm gonna put in. I like to use 3, but you can get away with only using 2 of these if you have them. So now we have completely finished planting the Flavor Queen Pluot. She is in a row with the Dapple Dandy, the Flavor King, and the Flavor Supreme. And believe it or not, these were planted 3 years ago. And you can see how big the trunk is. And the buds are already starting to swell. These trees will be loaded with flowers in about 6 weeks.
Yay for Pluots!